Annie? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
What are you doing over there, Lane?
Putting candy canes on the tree.
How'd you get so tall?
I have a ladder.
Ah, I see. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
What's on the top of the tree?
Uncle Floyd's hat.
Uncle Floyd's hat. Well, Merry Christmas Eve, everyone, and welcome back to the ranch. I'm Dr. Lee, and as you can well see, it is another beautiful day in South Texas. Little cool on this Christmas Eve morning, breeze blowing, and it's probably in the 50s right now, but my goodness gracious, look at the forecast for tomorrow. Yep, that's right, 81 degrees on Christmas Day. I remember only one other time it got into the 80s on Christmas, and it was a long time ago, back when the kids were little. And to be quite frank with you, I think we enjoyed that day. It didn't feel like Christmas, but we were able to get the kids and all their new toys and send them outside the house, and a nice calm peace returned to inside the house. Those of you with small children know exactly what I mean. But nevertheless, folks, good to have you here today. I hope you have great plans for Christmas. Hope you get to spend it with a lot of family and friends. And I would urge you to exercise your kindness and remember those who are going to be alone, whether they're in nursing homes or just they live alone, not having any family in whatever. Remember those people, give them a call, and wish them a happy Christmas and just spend some time with them. Anyway, guys, I hope the weather's good where you are, and I hope the world's treating you well this Christmas season. This is our annual video that we always put out before Christmas time, and I always give 3 gifts. And the gifts today, I went back retrospectively and found 3 of my favorite videos to show you at this time. You know, thanks to video, we can go back in time. I guess there's only one other way to go back in time, but it's problematic and awkward at times. But we can go back in these videos, and right now I'd like to show you one of my very favorite Christmas stories. And actually, I'll just let myself introduce it. My story is a true story. It is a Christmas story. It happened 150 years ago, and I would like to say it's a bouncy little happy Christmas story, but it's not. It's a tragic, terrible, dark story. The ending of it is just a little bit of a sunrise. The whole thing's a mess, but it's a true story. It's a Christmas story, and I thought you might enjoy it. Back in 1861, the year that the Civil War started, there was a young lady named Frances. All of her friends called her Fanny. And Fanny was a sweet family woman. She was in her early 40s. She was married to a fellow named Henry. They had a wonderful family. They had 6 children. The oldest one at that time was 16 years old. And they were just your basic everyday family. They were just trying to do the best to get by and raise their family, and they were a very loving family, and Henry and Fanny were very deeply in love. And late one night, Fanny was writing letters, and she was sealing the letters, as they all did back in the 1800s, with sealing wax, which you heated up with a candle, and then you put your stamp, you folded it, put your stamp on that wax, and that's the way they sealed their letters back then. Fanny had set the candle down beside her, and within a short amount of time, her dress caught a fire, and before she knew it, her whole entire body was ablaze. She screamed and awakened Henry, who was asleep in the next room. He came running in there, wrapped Fanny in a rug, trying to extinguish the blaze, but was unsuccessful. So then he lay his body completely on top of Fanny's and finally got the fire out only after setting himself on fire. And it was just a horrible scene. Fanny's wounds were so terrible, she passed away the next day. Henry's wounds were so terrible that he was scarred for life. He was in such bad shape, he could not even attend Fanny's funeral. His face took the worst part of it, and it was very scarred, and he grew a long white beard just to cover up all the wounds on his face. So things were just terribly rough. Henry had lost the love of his life. She had basically burned to death in his arms, and then he had to recuperate from his own wounds as well. As time passed, the war got worse. This country was tearing itself apart. Everyone's friends and family were involved in this war, and they were out there slaughtering each other. It was the darkest moment in the United States history, and Henry and all the citizens of the United States bore that pain as well. And to make matters worse, Henry was psychologically, emotionally disturbed from the death of his wife. He told a lot of his friends that he feared he would have to be institutionalized the rest of his life because the grief he bore for Fanny's death was almost incapacitating. So poor Henry was struggling on those two fronts, and at the same time, his oldest son, Charlie, decided he wanted to go fight in the war. And Charlie felt it was his need as a citizen of the United States to go stand up for his rights and do what he felt was right. But Henry told Charlie that Henry was so emotionally unstable that he feared that he could not withstand another death in the family. So they argued back and forth and back and forth. And finally, in the spring of 1863, Charlie snuck out in the middle of the night, hopped a train, went to Washington, D.C., and signed up with the Army, totally against Henry's wishes. But you know how kids are. So as this plays out, Charlie is in the Army. He's doing very well, but he gets typhoid fever, has to come home. Henry gets him back healthy again, and as soon as he's healthy, he leaves and goes back to war again. He missed the Battle of Gettysburg, but he did get involved in the Battle of Mill Run. And in that battle, Charlie got shot through the back. The bullet went in one side, went very, very close to his spinal cord, and then blew out the shoulder on the other side. So Charlie was terribly wounded. This happened on the day before Thanksgiving, 1863, and interestingly enough, Henry found out about it on December 1st, 1863, and by December 8th, they had Charlie back home. Henry and his next oldest son went and picked up Charlie on the battlefield and brought him back home. His days as a soldier were over, and they were unsure if he was going to live, and if he did live, was he going to be paralyzed? It was just a mess. So here you've got Henry, still the wounds in his mind from his sweet bride being burned to death in his arms were still there. The war was tearing his country apart. Now his beloved son was laying in his bed fighting for his life. And Henry still had all these kids to raise. And with all this bleakness and with all these terrible things going on, Henry was just beside himself. He did not know what to do. So a few weeks into this, and it was Christmas morning, and Henry woke up and he could hear the church bells ringing down the street. And he went over to his desk by the fireplace, and he sat down, took out a pen and a piece of paper, and he wrote down these words. I heard the bells on Christmas Day, the old familiar carols play, and wild and sweet the words repeat, of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Then from each black, accursed mouth, the cannons thundered from the south, and with the sound, the carols drowned, of peace on earth, goodwill to men. And in despair I bowed my head. There is no peace on earth, I said, for hate is strong and mocks the song of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Then peal the bells more loud and deep. God is not dead, nor doth he sleep. Wrong shall fail, the right prevail, with peace on earth, goodwill to men. Henry's full name was Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Despite all that tragedy in his life, he wound up becoming one of the greatest writers of all time. That is an abbreviated version of that poem. It's called Christmas Bells. Again, it was written on Christmas Day, 1863. If you want to read the whole thing, just Google it. It is an awesome poem. I think you'd like it. You do not have to be an English professor to enjoy that poem. It is an awesome work. Anyway, guys, that is my number one gift to you today. And I know there's a lot of you that have a lot of dark things going on in your life, and I want you to always think of Henry. Despite all of that, he found a way to drag himself out of that hole and start a whole new life. Pretty impressive man. Yep, that is indeed one of my very favorite poems, and the story behind it is just gut-wrenching. Most people that know that poem know it because they first knew the Christmas song of the same name with the same words, most of the same words. But fortunately, most people that sing that song in churches and such don't know the dark backstory behind that song. But anyway, now you know, as Paul Harvey said, now you know the rest of the story. And again, another favorite from my past. Here is gift number 2. Floyd, how you doing today?
Doing fine, thank you.
Good. Well, this is going to be our Christmas video, so I thought it'd be interesting if you could just kind of fill us in on about Christmas when you were a kid. What was Christmas like back in the 1920s? What was Christmas like back when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, well, that's been a long time ago, but I remember them very well. We didn't get presents and money and cars and things like that like we do today. But all the kids had to hang their stockings on the chimney, on the fireplace. And next morning, of course, we were all anxious to get up and get our sock, and that's all you got was what was in that sock most of the time. And you'd get an orange and an apple and some a few nuts, almonds and things like that, and then you got one package of regular small firecrackers and one a little bit larger so it wouldn't blow your finger off, and maybe a cap gun and a pair of socks, and that was it. That was Christmas. And of course, the grown people didn't give too many gifts. They were thinking mostly about fixing a big feast for the day. And of course, we had turkey and dressing and all the condiments of Thanksgiving and Christmas piled into one. So we had a lot of fun. We'd save our sparkler, and we'd get one sparkler in there, save those till night, and so we could whirl them around and see the pretty lights. My father loved to make wine, and he had a 55-gallon wooden barrel. And every year we'd go out on the Brazos River and gather wild Mustang grapes and bring them in, and we'd put them in a big tub, and then we'd squeeze them. And if we had any small children around, he'd wash their feet and put them in and let them stomp them with the feet, just for fun. And but anyway, he made 55-gallon wine every year, and he kept it down in the cellar. And on Christmas morning, he also had a very good eggnog recipe. And he'd get up about 3 o'clock in the morning and go wake up all the neighbors and bring them down to the house. And we'd drink eggnog and we'd drink wine and have a lot of fun and drink coffee and eat cake. And then about 8 o'clock, he'd bottle that wine up into half-gallon bottles. And about 8 o'clock, he'd load all that wine in his car and drive around and give it all away to his friends.
Oh, my.
And he had a lot of fun doing that. He loved making the wine, and so.
How old were you when you were drinking all this wine and eggnog?
Oh, I was like 5, 6 years old, and I remember one time my brother George, they couldn't find him, and he was under the table sound asleep.
Oh, he'd had a little too much eggnog.
He had too much eggnog and wine.
Those darn 7-year-olds, you just can't trust them, can you?
It was funny.
Yeah, that's great.
No, our dad always told us, said, if you're going to drink right here at the house.
Yeah.
And that's what we did, and seldom ever took over 1 or 2 drinks, you know.
Yeah.
That's the way it was.
Yep. A whole lot different than the way it is today, right?
It's
And
fact.
did y'all have Christmas trees?
We had Christmas trees sometimes.
And you didn't have lights in the tree, did you?
No.
Yeah.
Just had little ornaments and things you could pick up around and tie on there.
Yeah. And so Christmas was not nearly as much of a commercial entity as it is today, was it?
Exactly.
So did your mom, Granny, did she get up early in the morning and start cooking and cook all day long?
The women always got up early and started cooking.
Yeah.
That wasn't only at Christmas time. That was all time, but especially Christmas, Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
They really put on a feast.
So did you have like a lot of family come over to the house, and the house was full of family and friends all day long?
That's right.
Yeah.
They used to, everybody would go visit everybody they could that day.
Yeah. That seems like a pretty good way to spend Christmas to me.
It was a great time.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Floyd. Is there anything you want to say to these people on Christmas?
Just want to wish them a Merry Christmas, and may God bless each one of you.
Doesn't get any better than that. Thanks, Floyd.
All right.
And now gift number 3, a lovely video from me to you about me and my besties as we did what we enjoyed best long before the COVID virus put the kibosh on our band. Enjoy.
At the end, when we're singing.
When we get through, we'll close it once we get a version that we're all satisfied. Can you sing louder?
Sure.
1, 2.
Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round yon virgin water and shine, holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace.
That's all I'll just say. Merry Christmas, everyone. Is that what you want me to do? Yeah. And we'll just kind of wave at the camera. We hope you liked that. Good night, everybody, and Merry Christmas. Y'all were supposed to say Merry Christmas then, too.
Oh.
Okay, let's do it again. All right, do it again.
Bad actors.
Well, good night, everybody. We hope you enjoyed that, and
Merry Christmas!
that's good enough. That's all you get for a quarter.
Bud left.
Yeah.
He only came for a
And he's
split
deaf.
second.
Well, folks, there you have it. 3 Christmas presents from me to you this year, and not one of them was a tie or a pair of socks or a vacuum cleaner. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I enjoyed putting it all together for you. And once again, folks, I hope you're safe on this holiday. Be really, really careful, especially if you're traveling. And again, like I said earlier, remember those people that are alone. And remember, in this channel, we always push kindness. So be kind, give them a call, think about others, and be kind. Kindness, kindness, kindness. The one thing a blind man can see and a deaf man can hear. Folks, God bless you all. Thank you so much for stopping by here today. Again, you always know it means a lot to me, and especially this time of year. Once again, I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. I look forward to seeing you next year. And I want you to always remember I love you. God bless you all. Merry Christmas. So what you doing there, Al?
Neutering a dog, Dad.
All right. Who's going to learn you?
That's a mistake.